So welcome to March's Chapter 10, Best Practices Partnering with Vendors. I'm Kim from ANFP headquarters, and I have Nick in the room as well, and he does the expo for us at regional meetings and the National Leadership Conference. So any questions you have today, feel free to pick our brains. So we'll be going over how to find new vendors, because that can be a challenge sometimes, how to sell expo space, some paperwork that might be involved, what to do at the event, and then follow-up. So now I'm going to pass it over to Nick to start us out with how does he find vendors?
Hello, good day and welcome. Nick Rubis, Business Development with ANFP here. And, okay, so finding vendors. This can be done in a couple of different ways, and everybody's different, and we all have different ways of doing things. But these are just some helpful ideas to get you started. One thing is to think locally with companies that you deal with that are in your area, and another is to think nationally with some of the large companies as well. But a great way to find vendors is to ask the ones that you already may know or see on a weekly basis or however often you may see them. If you attend other food shows in the area, look at their vendors and kind of, if you get a program book or something from another food show or trade show, keep in mind that perhaps those are people who could exhibit at your food show or trade show as well. Your members are a great resource. Ask them if they have any personal contacts with anybody or if they have any ideas. Really, it's just cultivating a list of people that, kind of like a hit list that you would go after there. And finding a specific person within a company is very helpful to kind of get in the door there and start the process. You could search the internet. That's a great one. I've used that before. Search food service, healthcare food service, or maybe some more specific terms, and that'll help you kind of come up with some company names either in your area or just kind of nationally there. And if you don't have a contact person, I utilize cold calling quite a bit, and that's just picking up the phone and talking to the receptionist at a company and seeing if you could talk to a person in charge of trade shows, exhibits, or often the person's title would be a marketing manager or director of marketing, something along those lines. So those are pretty much how I think finding different ways of finding vendors will probably be helpful for you.
So I want to turn this to you. You all know. Do you have any questions or do you have any suggestions for other participants on how you have found vendors for your expos?
This is Tammy in Louisiana.
Hi, Tammy.
As a lot of you know, I work for a vendor, and I work my vendor contacts through my distribution warehouse and deal with the brokers a lot, and that's a lot of how I get what we get for booze. And it's truly, y'all, it's just like anything else. The more personal contact you have with those people, the more supportive they are of us. I mean, I talk to them probably 3 times a year for ANFP and 3 or 4 or 5 times a year for my job. That they know exactly who I am, what I want, and they want to be a part of that. But the more contact you have with them, if you only send a letter or you only send an email, you're easy to ignore. The more personal contact you have, just like any other networking situation, the better turnout you have. And like you said, you tap them all everywhere you go. You pull business cards. You never know how that person can help you or how you can help them.
Great comment. Thanks, Tammy.
This is Marlene from Wisconsin.
Hello.
Hi. And there are several of us in ANFP who have vendor, relationships. One of our members at one point said, you guys, these vendors are very important to you. You're someday you're going to need them for a resource. So when they come to visit you, don't brush them off. You know, talk to them, listen to what they have to say, and use them for a resource. So, you know, we've been doing that for quite a while, and we have a lot of vendor participation.
That's a good point, Marlene, and you bring up a good point of I think, developing a relationship with the vendor and keeping that contact. I think, in my experience, vendors they want to help out. I see this more often in recent even months that some vendors are interested in helping out the organization, you know, whether it be through speaking or sponsorships or participating at a trade show. But I think that they're becoming much more involved as well. So listening to them and like you said, how can they help you and how can you help them? Keeping that door always open is a good way to keep that constant contact revolving. That was a good comment.
All right, I think we're going to move on now to selling expo space. So again, I'll pass it over to Nick.
Okay, so finding vendors is one thing. Once you have them on your list and basically start a selling process. And I don't know how many of you guys have sales experience, but this is one of those things that everyone's different as well. But I think, in my opinion, there are a few kind of key components that you kind of follow. One, and it's said before, is constant contact. Usually, selling space is not going to be done in one phone call. Definitely, usually not the first phone call. It takes a series of communications. Personal contact is big. Utilize emails, phone calls, and letters, mailings, keeping everybody updated. But when you're telling them about your event and telling them about what's going on, I would emphasize a few things. Emphasize that this is going to be a win-win situation for them and for the organization. Everything kind of comes back around and it recycles. They're going to be there talking to their customers and people that are going to get them, obviously, more sales and more business for their company. And you're going to have all these vendors come in and have them support your chapter and the organization in that way. So it goes back and forward there. So I would try to emphasize that. Also let them know that they're going to be reaching local members or their contacts in a localized region. So it's usually the people that are coming to that trade show are people that are going to be in your area. They're going to see people in that same area. So, I mean, that usually just tells them they're going to be meeting the right type of people. I think what else can I say about selling expo space is just constant contact and letting them know that what you have is going to benefit. And there's, like I said, a lot of different ways you can do that. Everyone's a little bit different, but by maintaining constant contact and just kind of exploring the benefits for them, it's going to make it very positive for them.
Any questions or comments about selling booth space or table space? Right, and as a reminder, if you have noise on your end, please hover over your name on the right side of the screen and push the microphone. That will mute everything. Okay, there's probably paperwork involved, and we do recommend a contract if you have a vendor who is interested in buying space at your expo. Make sure your expectations are clear so nothing is a surprise. And make sure you have a refund policy. Things do happen, so you want to make sure everyone is protected. The vendor may also ask for a W-9 form, and I have to but I've pulled up the actual form. All you have to do is Google IRS W-9 if that's what the vendor needs, and this will be for the chapter. So it is a government document, but it's pretty easy to fill out. You fill out chapter information, and the IRS does still see us as technically DMA, since our tax numbers did not change. So make sure you put that, and then on the second line, we are known as ANSP. So you would fill in the treasurer's chapter information, since usually that is, treasurer address information, since that usually stays pretty consistent, and they would be the contact for the IRS. And then the fifth and final step is filling in the federal tax number. And we have those on file at headquarters if you can't find yours or need a reminder. So that is the W-9. And I'll be sending this W-9 template out with the follow-up email after this call. So after educational meeting, pretty dressed professionally. I know this is maybe a break from work, but it is a organization, and we want to demand respect and make sure that the vendors know we're serious about making a business partnership. Again, I just mentioned refunds, but no-shows and backouts do happen, so don't be too flustered. Make sure you prepare in advance if these things do happen. And finally, to keep things running smoothly, make sure the hotel and all the vendors know what's expected when things are supposed to be delivered, if they need refrigeration or anything from the kitchen. Make sure that is communicated.
Yeah, I'd agree. Working with the hotel and coordinating that with the exhibitors, that's kind of always in constant contact there. The hotel, since you're usually the contact for the hotel, and then you're usually the contact for the vendors, it kind of goes. You're getting it from both sides. So again, that communication between the hotel and the vendor is really big, so that they have a good experience.
Then after the meetings, make sure you follow through with promises from your contract, or even verbally if you promised them a meeting attendee list. Make sure you send that in a timely manner, at least a couple weeks after the meeting. It would be nice to thank you in person or on the website, or even through an email blast if your chapter sends those regularly. Finally, this has been mentioned already a couple times, and chapter leaders, make sure the relationship is through the year. Don't want to just call them up when you need something. Be sure it's a friendly relationship, and you be comfortable speaking several times in between meetings.
And it gets them comfortable working with you as well. It was Tammy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really good point, and it just creates a comfort zone between everybody. As you know, business is business, I think, and I find that you're always talking about business, but having that vocal recognition and seeing these people, it makes such a huge difference. I mean, it seems like so much more work and productivity gets done either on the phone or in person. I mean, email takes you far enough, I think, to get information, but I found that in-person meetings and phone calls, they have an effect that is unparalleled.
And somehow it's harder to tell you no if they're looking at you.
That's true. Then they have to explain themselves.
Exactly. The other thing is, I work for a distribution company. I work for Reinhardt. But if you guys, when you're purchasing from Cisco, from U.S. Foods, from me, from any distribution house, if you will get with somebody there that's your salesperson, and ask them to help you get to the brokers and the manufacturers. A lot of times, though my company doesn't we purchase a booth. We only purchase one booth, but we've helped make the contact with some brokers and some manufacturers that bring 5 or 6 more booths. And if you can get one of your distribution houses, like if you buy from U.S. Foods, if you make a good contact there, they can bring you the manufacturers, and they can help you get in touch with the right people through that. And that's really how we've gotten so many of ours, is just working through the community. And any one of your any one of your distribution houses can help you get to those people.
Right, it's all about the network, right?
Absolutely.
Kim, this is Leonard from Kansas.
Hi.
And since the last meeting, I've talked to a couple of the, hello?
During background noise, maybe in a kitchen, if somebody could the mute button on their name on the screen on the right. Great. Okay, Leonard?
Okay, since the last meeting, I've talked to our 2 major providers here in Kansas, and one of them was okay with charging for tables, and the other one was kind of hesitant. The other thing is, you were talking about the food brokers. If we're going to send a letter out, is it good to also send it to the food brokers that we know that have been to our meetings, to go ahead and send a letter out about our pending show, or just let it go through like Cisco and U.S. Foods and
Touch them all.
Touch them all. Okay.
Touch them all.
Sometimes
you might need your U.S. Foods person to muscle them for you, but if you send out the information to everybody you have contact for, sometimes people just don't have time and they don't think to pass it on from the house. But if you send out all the contact, then they start talking about you on the sideline beside. So anybody you got contact information for, do it.
Because I explained to them that it is our 50th anniversary and we're trying to make it for a bigger show. Yeah. And we're going to invite all of the purveyors that come into Kansas. So,
well, Leonard, where are you in Kansas?
Myself, I'm in Kansas City, Overland Park. So I'm in the northeast corner.
Where's your show going to be?
It's going to be in Lawrence, Kansas. And it's for the state. It's our state meeting. So, I was going to also, I've also got one of our health technologies that does our menus and all. They're going to have a table, and the Kansas Healthcare Association will have a table. And then we've also got Benny Keith and ESCO and then Osage Marketing. So.
I think what you said was a good idea. Call everybody, contact everybody, and what helps me is to build, like I said, a hit list or contact list in Excel or however it's best to organize it, and kind of track the times that you contact these people. If there's no organization, at least for me, if there's no organization, I kind of lose track of where I am and who I have talked to. But if you can get as many people to tell about the meeting to, you're going to get a greater turn back of people who are going to, I think, push a trade show space there. And just really, I guess, emphasize that these are the types of members that are going to be at the show. These are the people you want to see. So this is why you need to come here, and this is why we charge for it, because it's basically like promotion, and they would pay for advertisement in any other area, and this is kind of the same thing, you are providing an opportunity for them to advertise themselves and that costs a price, because it costs money to get the meeting space and this and that, so it's it's just they should expect that, I think.
And exactly. And I once felt bad because I didn't think that I feel like that we had enough people in attendance. And one of my brokers told me, Tammy, I can't see 65 to 70 people in one day any other time. Don't ever feel bad.
Because we normally average about 125 to a meeting, and this time we're going to try to get more. So.
Right. And if they need to know that, how many people am I going to get to talk to? Because that's what for a broker, that's what the manufacturer's going to ask them. Why should I cough up the money for you to go to that show and pay for the booth? Because I'm going to see 125 customers.
Okay. All right.
That's a great.
Well,
that's
thank
a great
you very much.
That's a great number too, Leonard. If you don't mind me asking, how much does a table cost at the show?
We're working on the price right now. We were going to start with, since this is the first time, we were going to do for the first table is $200 and then a lower price if they needed more.
No.
Just to get.
No, don't go cheaper on the next table. You're
just
too
leave
cheap.
them at,
You bet. $200 a pop.
because, like I said, the one purveyor that I talked to thought that was too much money.
The next thing is, if he can bring you another contact, tell him, you bring me, if he's somebody who has the ability, you bring me 5, I'll give you your table for nothing.
Okay. I mean, it's a major purveyor, so.
There you go. If it's a U.S. Foods or a Cisco or a Reinhardt, you might even tell them, bring me 10, because they can. Bring me 10 and I'll give you your table for nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of you could facilitate something like that there, but that sounds acceptable, and I think that you should probably be able to put enough benefit to the show for these vendors to want to come at that.
Okay, because
check and see what the dietitians are charging in your area, because I'm saying that because I know I don't pay less than $200 for anything, but check and see what the dietitians are charging in your area so that you have an idea, because you need to look at, he thinks you don't know. He's going to pay too much to see if he can drop the price, but if the RDs are charging more than that, and I bet they are.
And normally, they help us out and we don't charge a thing, but for this one, we just wanted it to be something special. And they voiced back just very well. But and I know from the experience of going to the Kansas Healthcare, they gave us a booth, but they were charging $900 a booth for that show.
So your manufacturer people, they know what it costs. $200 isn't too much.
Okay. Well, thank you for your help.
I would also emphasize that all of your members that are coming are purchasers, because a lot of these vendors, when they come to a show, they encounter a lot of people who don't actually have purchasing power. For instance, like Tammy said, the dietitian shows, the dietitians don't have purchasing power quite often. It's the CDMs that have purchasing power. So I would emphasize that with your vendors, that everyone that you're going to see at this show is a purchaser.
Exactly. They're the one that order their groceries every day.
Okay.
Thanks for asking the question, Leonard. We got a lot of mileage out of that one.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. This is at the end of it, so we'll leave it open. If anybody has any other questions or comments, we'd be happy to talk about them right now.
You can also reach me if you have any questions about this too. I'd be happy to talk to you about it and help answer any questions on the way things I do up here. You can email me or give us a call back here at headquarters and ask for Nick. I'd be happy to help anybody out. Just to throw that on the table.
All right. So, any other questions or?
Yeah, Kim, can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
This is Kathy from Utah. I just wanted to say that at least for once a year for about the last 4 years, we've partnered with Cisco, and they've actually set up the vendors for us, and they've given us the room, and they pay us to bring in the members, and they're non-members of ANFT come. And it's a great partnership, and we walked away with $2,000 to $3,000. We're doing very little of the vendor work. They kind of set it up as a vendor show, and they kind of share the profits with us. vendor they charge the vendors. It's been a really great situation for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's using your
anyway, I just wanted to share that. I don't know, and U.S. Foods has actually done it for us, and Nicholas, which is is Nicholas other places besides Utah. We've done it with three distribution companies. They've all done the same thing for us. They were very willing to do it. It's something that other chapters should look at. It worked out pretty sweet for us. So, anyway, just a tidbit.
Good. Thanks, Kathy. All right. If no one has any other questions, like Nick just said, we're happy to help. Even after this call, you'll be getting the usual follow-up email from me. And Nick and I will both be in Pittsburgh and Milwaukee at the upcoming regional meetings, along with some other coworkers. And I want to also make a quick note, because I'm starting to get questions about National Leadership Conference. There is no evening banquet this year. This has been changed to a luncheon, so there's no need to pack your fancy clothes anymore. So you'll have extra room in your suitcase.
Hey, Kim?
Uh-huh.
This is Sherry from Nebraska. I came on late and didn't interrupt, so just so you know, I'm on.
Oh, great. Thanks, Sherry. All right, last call, everyone. Okay, thank you so much for joining today, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.